guys, welcome to today's webinar titled Thriving After Surviving, the Unimaginable Path Through Abuse. We are so honored to have a great presenter, Ms. Candace Morrow, with us today. She will be going through her presentation, and it is a presentation that needs to be listened to by everyone. Because there are lessons to be learned as maybe we don't go through this situation ourselves, but we may know friends or coworkers who may be facing these challenges. Her name is Candace Morrow. She's a survivor of family and domestic violence. Throughout her childhood, she was physically, emotionally, and mentally abused by her parents. And then she married the man who abused her for 13 years. As she pursued her nursing degree and raised 2 young children, her husband shot at her with a sawed-off shotgun, bruised her body, and broke her bones. She recognized that the only way to escape was getting her nursing degree. It's a story to be listened to. I don't want to read the rest of her bio because it will give away her talk. I want you to listen to this through her own words and understand the difficult path that she had to tread in order to either stay or get out of this situation, and what happened to her after that. She is a survivor. She is a professional nurse of 46 years. She has set up a pharmaceutical home infusion company. She is an aesthetic trainer. And on top of it all, she's in the process of writing a book, Not One More Day. That is the title of her book. And shortly, it will become available for all of us to read. Without much more delay, I would like to present you Mrs. Candace Morrow and her sad, but yet you will see through this talk, she must have had a steel personality, and she must have had a resolute to build her future. Welcome, dear Candace. You are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that introduction. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you ladies in this Bridge to Success organization. It's a community that uplifts and empowers and reminds us that no matter where we come from, our voices and our stories matter. It's such an honor to be here with you, from women from all over the world, and I understand youth as well as men. My name, as I said, yes, she introduced me, is Candace Morrow. My friends call me Candy, so please feel free to call me Candy. I'm a registered nurse, a survivor of domestic violence, and the author of Not One More Day. I'm here to share with you the story behind my memoir, how I survived horrific abuse, reclaimed my voice, and found the courage to earn a college degree when the world told me I couldn't. I share my story with hope. It will encourage others to break free from fear, from silence, from the belief you have to stay. If my words can help even one person find the strength to choose themselves, then every painful memory I revisited writing this book has been worth it. Please let me begin by saying you matter. Your story matters. This memoir is a deeply personal account of surviving both family, spousal, breaking free from destruction of generational cycles, and reclaiming my life with purpose and truth. What does domestic violence look like? It's a very complex problem, It's the simple definition is domestic violence is when someone uses hurtful or controlling behavior to power over you. If you can't, it can happen in any age, regardless of gender, background. At its core, domestic violence is about power, fear, control, and this is not love. It's not always visible. It can be quiet, manipulative, and deeply damaging. Hitting, slapping, yelling, insults, threats, controlling your money, where you go, when will you be home, how long will you be gone, forcing you to do things you don't want to do, constantly checking your phone, your messages is isolation. It doesn't always leave bruises, but it will always take away your sense of safety and freedom. Across every country, in every language, women as well as men are being silenced by domestic violence, unseen, unheard, and too often forgotten. For much of my life, I believed my voice didn't matter. Today, I know it does, and I'm here to share with you my story. I grew up in a home of fear, was louder than words, where my pain came in with slamming doors as I was told I was too stupid to ever be anything, where my deepest wounds came in the quiet betrayal of those who were supposed to protect me. I learned to hide, how to make myself small, and how to survive in silence. Then I married an abuser. For 13 years, he bruised my body, broke my bones, and shot at me. He controlled every aspect of my life. I was completely isolated. He made it clear if I ever left him, he would kill me, my family, and even worse, take my children. I had always been told I was too stupid to be anything. The best I could do was marry and have children. Until one day, a young woman who I had just met said these 7 words to me: Miss Candy, you should go to college. Here is an exact excerpt. Here's an excerpt from my memoir that set me on the path to freedom. One beautiful sunny day, the boys were outside riding their Hot Wheel bikes. I walked outside to check on them and noticed a young lady bending down to chat with them. She was pointing at their bikes. As I approached, she stood up and smiled at me. Hi, I live in that house. She pointed to the house just 2 doors down. I just graduated from high school and I'm going to be going to a local college starting in the fall. Her voice was full of excitement. Our conversation didn't amount to much more than that day. From time to time, I saw her walking by. She always waved and called out. I waved back and smiled. One day, I invited her in. She stepped into my kitchen, her smile as bright as ever. It's great to see you, she said. It's been a while. I poured her a glass of iced tea and sat down across from her at the table. How are your college classes going? I asked. Really good. I'm really enjoying college life. That's wonderful, I said. She smiled and leaned in a little bit. Miss Candy, you should go to college. I was shocked. My mind screamed at me not to move, to say something, but my body refused to cooperate. Go to college? Me? Taking a deep breath, I stood up and slowly walked to the kitchen sink, gripping the edge tightly, my back to her. She doesn't know how stupid I am. I'm too busy with the boys, I said. She didn't give up. Then just take one class. You can at least do that, right? Richard would have a fit. What have you always dreamed of being? She asked. No one had ever asked me that question, not once. I swallowed hard, my voice barely above a whisper. I always wanted to be a nurse. Her face lit up as if I had just shared the most wonderful secret. Then go enroll. Take any class. Take one class. Can I really do it? The doubt clung to me like a weight, but something about her enthusiasm made me feel lighter. I stared at her hopeful eyes, feeling a shift in me. For the first time, the voice of doubt grew quieter. Maybe I could do it. She never came back after that to visit. I figured she just got busy with her college classes. I felt the possibilities of hope, a permission to dream because of her. I dared to believe in something better that changed everything. Later that night, I lay awake, replaying our conversation over and over in my mind. Could I really go to college? I had thoughts, quite secret thoughts, that a college education might free me from Richard. But hope is a stubborn thing, and part of me still believed he would change. If I became a nurse and brought in a steady income, maybe it'd be less stress on him. Maybe he wouldn't drink and he wouldn't hurt me. Shortly after our conversation, the one that saved my life, I enrolled in college with the hope of becoming a registered nurse. I was terrified, had no idea how I'd manage. But for the first time, I was choosing me. I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel brave, but I kept showing up, one class at a time, one breath at a time. There were many challenges along the way. I completed all the prerequisites and was accepted into the nursing program. But 10 days into the nursing classes, I didn't have money for books. No lifeline, but still I refused to quit. I didn't know how or why this fierce determination had taken a hold on me, but I clung to it with everything I had. A college degree wasn't just a dream anymore. It was survival. It was freedom for me and my boys. This is another excerpt from my book. I desperately needed books and money for books, that I didn't have it. As I stood there listening to their complaints, I couldn't help but feel a pang of envy. Those books, so casually dismissed by my peers as a burden, were a treasure to me. Unlike them, I had no books at all. They looked like precious gold, just out of reach. 10 days into classes and clinicals, my miracle still hadn't shown up. Worries danced around in my head. I'm getting behind in studies. I can't afford to do this. I'm going to fail. I've got to get the money for books. The thought pounded in my head as I walked into class and took my usual place, second row, third seat. Can we share your book? I asked a classmate sitting next to me, trying to sound casual. Sure, but where are your books, Candy? She asked, sliding her book towards me. Oh, the bookstore said they're looking for a used book for me to buy. They said they're expecting a former student to turn one in any day now. This was a complete lie. I was too embarrassed to admit the truth. I didn't have enough money to buy even a used book. I couldn't bear the thought of anyone knowing. Inside, I was mortified, asking for help like admitting failure. I spent years trying to shake the shame from middle school and high school when I was labeled as a slow learner. In nursing school, my dyslexia and ADHD were still unrecognized, and I thought my struggles were all my fault. Still, the reality was clear. I needed to ask for help or I was going to fail. That afternoon, I waited until all my classmates had left the campus. I didn't want anybody to see me walking into the financial aid office. The last thing I needed was for them to know how desperate I was. Steeling myself, I opened the door and walked in. Behind the counter stood a woman shuffling papers, her expression a mixture of professionalism and impatience. She barely looked up at me as I explained, I'm in the nursing program right now, and I need assistance to purchase textbooks. Unfortunately, the cost of these books is beyond my means. I was hoping there would be a program that would help me. She looked up at me. Do you mean you need money for books? Isn't that what I just said? Yes, ma'am, I replied, my voice faltering. I need money for my books. Are there any organizations that can help me? My cheeks burned with embarrassment. Asking for money was the last thing I wanted to do, but I had no choice. You mean you've been in classes for 10 days and don't have books? She said, her tone sharp. Why on earth did you enter the program knowing you didn't have money for books? Her words stung for a moment. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to cry or snap back at her. At this time, unfortunately, there are no funds left for you to purchase your books, she said flatly. It's all been allocated. Perhaps you should drop out, save your money for your books, and reapply next year for the nursing program. The thought made my stomach churn. I had to get the money for my books today. Ma'am, I said, trying to steady my voice, I really need money for books, and it does say financial aid on the door. I understand when you told me there were no organizations that could help me this late in the process. But I'm going to go over to that chair and I'm going to have a seat. She raised her eyebrows as I continued, and I'm going to wait until someone can help me. I can't afford to wait another year to get textbooks to succeed in my nursing classes. I'm determined to find a solution today, and hopefully you can help me. Without another word, I picked up my purse. I turned to find a chair, adrenaline leaving me shaky and lightheaded. Just get to that chair, Candy. You're okay. Sitting down in that chair, I placed my purse in my lap, wrapped my arms tightly around it. Clasping my fingers together, I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. A mix of fear and pride washed over me. Fear of the unknown, but pride for standing up for myself and what I needed. For once, I hadn't backed down, and that small victory gave me a flicker of hope amidst the uncertainty. I will stay here all night, if that's what it takes. If I can handle being beaten by Richard, I can handle this. Finally escaping my marriage and graduating from nursing school wasn't the end of the pain. It was the beginning of rebuilding. There were many challenges along the way, but I proved that the horrific things that had happened to me were not going to get the final say. I spent the last 2 years writing my story, every day pouring my truth onto a page. I've had weekly calls with my writing coach who helped me stay focused and grounded when the memories felt too heavy. Some days I could barely get through a single paragraph. Other days I'd sit for 8 hours, letting the memories pour onto the page, only as much as I could emotionally tolerate. Reliving those horrific moments from the lens of a healthier mind that I have today has been its own kind of endurance test. At times it felt like emotional torture, but it was necessary. Because I knew this story, my story, might bring hope to someone else. That maybe a woman somewhere would feel less alone, less ashamed, and less invisible. I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't gloss over the truth. I would tell it fully, honestly, in all its raw complexity. And along the way, I grieved for that young self. I mourned the woman I once was, the one who didn't have the tools, the knowledge, or the support to see what really happened, what was really happening. But while I can't go back and save her, I can honor her and honor her by telling her story she once was too afraid to tell. Healing did not come all at once. It comes in pieces. In the way I took a deep breath without fear, in the way I made my own bed, made my own dinner, slept without listening for footsteps. So if I may say this to the woman in hiding, to the one hoping the abuse will stop, to the one holding herself together for the children, for the job, for the world, you're not weak. You're not alone. You don't need permission to begin. You don't have to explain why you needed to stay. You only need one thing, the belief that you deserve a life without fear. How to begin leaving a domestic violence relationship? Let me first, I want to take a moment to speak directly to any woman listening today who may still be living in fear. Maybe you're unsure. Maybe you packed that bag 10 times and unpacked it 11 times. You're not weak. You're not crazy. You're surviving the best way you know how. But when you're ready, when that small voice says, I can't live like this anymore, I want you to know there is a way out. It may not be fast, it may not be simple, but it is possible. Start by trusting the voice inside you, that quieter inner voice that says, this isn't love. Listen to her. You don't need bruises to prove it's abuse. If you feel uncomfortable, dismissed, isolated, or afraid, that's abuse too. Create a safety plan quietly and carefully. Leaving a domestic violence relationship is the most dangerous time. Safety must come first. Here's how to start preparing quietly. Memorize or hide emergency contacts. Set aside money if you can. Leave important documents or a packed bag with someone you trust. Know where you could go, a shelter, a friend, a safe space. If you're in immediate danger, call immediately for help. Connect with the support system, domestic violence hotlines, shelters, or safe houses. Trusted friends, doctors, teachers, or religious leaders. And there's also online supporter survivor groups, networks. Remind yourself you deserve to live without fear. Leaving isn't just about walking away from the home, it's about walking out of the cycle. You deserve peace, you deserve rest, and you deserve joy. You deserve to wake up without fear. You're not alone. I know what it's like to be scared of starting over. I've been there. But I also know the freedom that waits on the other side of fear. It's not always instant, but step by step, your life will begin to feel like your own. Please hear me. If no one has ever told you this today, let me be the first. You are worthy of love that doesn't hurt. You are worthy of joy that doesn't come at a price. You're worthy of a life that does not begin in fear. And if today you're still in the dark, hold on. There is a light. There is freedom. And there is a version of you still waiting to be born. Not one more day, not one more hour, not one more second should anyone live in fear. 1 in every 3 women, that's how many of us will endure abuse in our lifetime. 1 is too many. This book, this speech, this moment, it all exists for one reason: to remind you freedom is possible. You don't have to wait for someone to rescue you. You are already becoming your own rescue. Thank you so much for welcoming me today to share this time with you, for allowing me to be with you. I hope my story not only stays with you, but also opens conversations, one where we can continue to share, heal, and grow together. My memoir, Not One More Day, will be available this September, with pre-orders available soon through Amazon, Ingram Sparks, and audiobook. If you or someone you know is in need of help, please memorize or write the following numbers down. National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE or 7233. If you live outside the U.S., contact UN Women at www.unwomen.org. They provide a global directory of country with local hotlines, shelters, and services. Thank you again. And now I open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, dear Candace, um, for your for a dive into your life. I think you touched the surface, and hopefully, with the questions that the audience can ask later, we can get to some of the instances that you had to make a decision. Appreciate your talk. Appreciate you having had the courage to get out of this cycle and to build your life. So
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I think that domestic violence is still, it's almost like a secret. It's not talked about, as much
Absolutely.
as it should
Absolutely.
be. And
Absolutely.
with the statistics showing 1 in every 3 women and 1 in every 4 men are being abused or experienced abuse, at some time in their life, is way too high, way too high. And the cycle of the complexity of it makes it so difficult to not have a support, makes it difficult. You have to have a support system in place in order to be able to lead and get out of that fear and that freedom and have freedom.